Have you ever found yourself craving a chocolate bar or a bag of chips, even though you had a full meal not long ago? Or have you experienced that feeling of needing to eat something sweet or salty, no matter how full you are? If so, then you may be familiar with the concept of addictive eating patterns caused by consuming high amounts of sugar and unhealthy fats. In this video, we will discuss how these types of food can lead to uncontrollable cravings and addictive behaviors that can be detrimental to our health. When we consume sugar or unhealthy fats, our brain releases dopamine. This neurotransmitter creates feelings of pleasure and reward in our brains. However, when consumed in high quantities, it can surge dopamine, leading to intense cravings for more foods. Additionally, studies have shown that consuming high amounts of sugar and unhealthy fats can also affect the same areas of the brain as drugs do. This means that our brains can become physically dependent on these foods, leading to an increased tolerance and need for more to achieve the same level of pleasure and satisfaction. These addictive eating patterns can also be influenced by emotional triggers, as many people turn to sugary or fatty foods as a form of comfort during times of stress or negative emotions. This can create a cycle of using food as a coping mechanism, leading to further cravings and potential addiction. Certain dishes, particularly those loaded with sugars, fats, and salts, prompt the discharge of dopamine, our body's happiness hormone. This launches a delightful and rewarding feeling within us. As this keeps happening, our brain begins to yearn for these types of food to recreate that joyous feel, quite similar to its reaction to substances like drugs or alcohol. This pattern of longing and satisfaction can make food feel addictive, causing us to constantly look for it repeatedly. We commonly lean on food as a crutch when our emotions are all over the place. Feeling stressed out, dealing with anxiety, coping with loneliness, or simply trying to kill boredom can all push us towards food to seek some solace. We often reach for that comforting tub of ice cream or a bag of chips. They have a magical way of uplifting our mood. This habit creates a powerful connection in our minds, linking food to a refuge from emotional distress, which makes it tough to let go of emotional eating. And the more we turn to food for comfort, the more our brain associates it with pleasure and satisfaction. Do you know that feeling when you crave a chocolate chip cookie or a slice of pizza? It's pretty standard for all of us to have these types of cravings now and then. But, believe it or not, there's a significant difference between these usual cravings and something much more intense known as food addiction. Ordinarily, when we crave, it's for something specific and doesn't last too long. A little nibble or two, creating that just what I needed moment, often does the trick and satisfies us entirely. However, food addiction is a different ballgame. Imagine being gripped by a constant and powerful longing for certain foods, a craving so intense that it pushes you to overindulge and lose a sense of moderation. That's food addiction. It's like a little voice in your head that won't stop chanting, more, more, more. The notable thing about food addicts is they don't stop eating even when they're full. Imagine having an entire Thanksgiving meal and needing to reach out for more. It's as if there's a constant thirst that no amount of food can quench. That's because their desire is not just for the food, it's for the comfort or emotional high that specific addictive foods provide. Unfortunately, food addiction can have severe consequences on our health. Consuming high amounts of sugar and unhealthy fats can lead to weight gain, which in turn increases the risk for obesity, heart disease, and other chronic health conditions. Moreover, addictive eating patterns can also cause a roller coaster of blood sugar levels that can contribute to diabetes and insulin resistance. Aside from physical effects, food addiction can also impact our mental well-being. The constant cycle of cravings and overeating can lead to feelings of guilt, shame, and loss of control. This can harm our self-esteem and overall mental health. Similar to many other addictions, food addiction manifests in a variety of ways. If you've ever had an intense craving for sweet, salty, or fatty foods, you could be experiencing signs of this problem. But it's not just about cravings. Overeating, even when you're not feeling hungry, and feeling like you've lost control over what and how much you're eating are major red flags. Suppose you constantly yearn for sugary or fatty foods, even after a full meal. In that case, you might be dealing with a sugar addiction. These cravings can be hard to resist and often lead to overeating, regardless of the known health risks. Do you often eat secretly out of embarrassment or fear of judgment? This is a common sign of food addiction. People dealing with this issue often prefer to eat alone or hide their snacks from family and friends. Another common sign of a food addiction is a feeling of guilt or shame after eating. While eating might bring temporary pleasure, it's often followed by a wave of guilt. This vicious cycle can lead to emotional eating, where food is used to cope with negative feelings, leading to even more guilt. In the case of sugar addicts, and often for those with unhealthy eating habits, food becomes a way to manage emotions. Turning to food is common when feeling stressed, lonely, or bored. While it might provide temporary relief, it can perpetuate a cycle of emotional eating if used as a constant source of comfort. Food addicts often find themselves preoccupied with food, constantly thinking about their next meal or daydreaming about their favorite snacks. This obsession can be so intense that it interferes with daily tasks and responsibilities. Even after feeling full, a food addict struggles with stopping. This leads to consuming more than planned and is another main symptom of food addiction. Just like with drugs or alcohol, food addicts can develop a tolerance, needing to eat more to achieve the same level of satisfaction or comfort. This can lead to overeating and weight gain, further reinforcing the cycle of food addiction. While breaking free from food addiction may be challenging, it is not impossible. The first step in overcoming food addiction is recognizing and acknowledging the problem. Seeking support from a therapist or a support group can also be beneficial in addressing the emotional triggers and underlying issues that contribute to addictive eating patterns. It's also important to make gradual changes towards a healthier diet, reducing the consumption of processed foods high in sugar and unhealthy fats. Finding healthy alternatives and incorporating more whole, nutrient-dense foods into our meals can help reduce cravings and create a healthier relationship with food. That's a wrap. We hope you liked the video. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative content.